For many years, psychologists have wondered whether a person's personality is a result of nature or nurture. In other words, are we a result of our genetics, or are we the result of our environments and our experiences? Most researchers would argue it's a bit of both. But the question is, how much can the external environment affect who we are? A study published in Clinical Psychology and Psychotherapy wanted to look at whether psychotherapy could actually have impacts on our personality traits. The question is why? You see, people who suffer from conditions like generalized anxiety disorder often score similarly on personality traits. For example, GAD sufferers will often score higher in neuroticism but lower in extraversion. In other words, people who are anxious are often introverts, which is hardly surprising. The study split participants into two groups, either a cognitive behavioral therapy group or a metacognitive therapy group. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a therapy which involves examining people's repetitive behaviors and thought patterns that lead them into negative thinking. Metacognitive therapy looks at a person's beliefs about their beliefs. In other words, where do these thoughts come from and what is the impact of your belief of those beliefs? Both of these therapies have been shown to have positive effects on people who suffer with anxiety and depression. The question is, how long-term are those effects? The results of this study showed that after therapy, the participants of both groups scored higher on extraversion and lower on neuroticism than they did before the intervention. In other words, it seems that by addressing your anxiety, you might become more extroverted. So why is this exciting? For one, it's exciting because it might indicate that these therapies are robust. In other words, they might have long-term effects. They might have relapse prevention. In other words, you will need to come back for therapy again and again and again. You may essentially become better. But it's also exciting from the point of view of understanding ourselves and who we are. You may identify as either an introvert or an extrovert, and that might form part of your identity, your belief about who you are. The question is, could your belief about yourself be having negative impacts on your emotional health? Of course, only you can answer that question, but it does provide food for thought. Nevertheless, it does indicate that if you are someone who does suffer with anxiety and you would like to deal with it, find a qualified professional who can lead you through these therapies, and perhaps you too can experience some of these benefits.